I'm not having it. I'm not. I'm sorry. Yep. Oh, let's go. Ah, okay. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I am happy to be coming to you this morning from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, via SHR Media. Oh no, via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. I just did a share screen so that you guys could see Senator Ted Harvey, and it did one. Oh, never mind. That's because I acted foolishly. I acted foolishly and clicked the wrong button. Okay. So anyhow, that's what I was getting to. We have Senator Ted Harvey on the show this morning. I'm so excited, and we have him via Zoom. So we have video. I'm super excited so you can see him. I'm happy about that. Say good morning, Senator Harvey. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. We'll have him this morning. And we're going to talk about a little bit of tax reform. We're going to talk about the dismantling of the Economic Council, too, and the fact that President Trump was going to do this infrastructure council, and then he decided not to do that. He's like giving up on all council. I'm not sure that not taking council is a really good idea for him right now. Just my initial thoughts. So, but we'll talk about that soon. In the meantime, also 5 minutes of personal finance. I was supposed to talk about this the other day. What's the difference between term life and whole life insurance? A lot of people don't know the difference. There are particular times when it's good to have whole life. There's particular times when it's good to have term life. Actually, I mean, from my perspective, it's almost always, it's never really a bad time to have whole life if you can afford it. It's just my opinion. But, you know, I'm a licensed insurance agent too, so I might be biased. I'm just saying. Also, I want to thank our sponsors this morning. Our newest sponsor, come on, Melanie. Oh, businessbuyeradvantage.com, Mr. David Barnett. And I didn't talk about this the other day, but he has 2 books that you may be interested in purchasing. Franchise Warnings, What You Really Need to Know Before You Buy, and also 21 Stupid Things People Do When Trying to Buy a Business. But you really do want to go to businessbuyeradvantage.com and check out all of his instructional videos, check out his program there that teaches you how to buy businesses. I've had him as a guest on the show. He's really good at showing you step by step how to buy businesses and not spending an incredible amount of money. That's the thing that I found amazing about the methods that he used, is that it doesn't take an incredible amount of money. And also from a business, from somebody who sells businesses, from that perspective, and also someone who wants to buy businesses, from both perspectives. Also, taxmama.com. I want to thank her for being a sponsor as well. Ms. Deduct Everything. She has 2 fantastic award-winning books, Deduct Everything and Small Business Taxes Made Easy. So I want to thank her for being a sponsor as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Eva Rosenberg. And thank you, by the way, for those tips you gave me about my website. I am working on it. I'm trying to decide. I bought both domain names, moneytalkwithmelanie.com and businessdivablog.com. So I bought them both. We'll see how it comes out, but I'll let you guys know when it launches. If you want to contact me, you want to know who's going to be on the show ahead of time, like you want to know when Senator Ted Harvey is going to be on the show ahead of time, best way to do that is to follow me on social media. And if you want to see some, you know, me starting trouble, like Senator Ted Harvey was on my Facebook page this morning, and all I was doing was very innocently talking about what was going on in Charlotte, and a few fights kind of broke out on my Facebook page, and I may have been throwing some kerosene on there. But listen, so you want to follow me on Facebook. And by the way, they're making fun of you guys who are watching my show. They're like, oh, she's got a radio show, nobody listens. I'm like, really? Like, come on. But this is what liberals do, though. They lose the argument, and as soon as they start losing the argument, they start attacking you personally. I said, well, I'll be sure to tell the senator that I'll be talking to about that. Will you be talking to a senator in an hour? Because I don't think you will. Or maybe maybe the people who are calling in on Sirius Radio tonight on the show I'll be hosting. Maybe I'll tell them that. Like, come on. They're just so. But anyway, you want to follow me on social media at Money Talk with Melanie, or on Twitter at Money Talk Mel. For the really good juicy political stuff, NJGOP Diva on Twitter. That's where all the really fun political stuff happens. I did not name myself that, by the way. Somebody else named me the GOP Diva. And I just added the NJ because some other heifer already had GOP Diva on Twitter. Anyway, so in Money Talk news, Apple. Okay, Apple's investing $1 billion into original video content, which is crazy. They're basically trying to beat back what Netflix and Amazon is doing, which, you know, is a good power move for Apple. And I heard they're coming out with a new Apple Watch. That is the only Apple product thus far that I have managed to resist. I just can't justify the purchase. Somehow I found a way to justify an iPad, but but I figured out a way. But I haven't figured out a way to justify the watch. But they're coming out with a new watch. I heard that there's an iPhone 10 coming out that's going to be like $1,700. But for $1,700, it must be like amazing. But anyway, so it's coming out in October, I believe. President Trump, you know, he's keeping a low profile as usual. I'm kidding. He ended the Infrastructure Council the other day because look, Senator Harvey, you're listening to this intro, and I don't mean to say it's a man thing, but it's all guys in this case. Like, why does everybody just like get mad and take their ball and go home? Like, what is that? So like, they all got mad about the Charleston, the Charlottesville, Virginia thing, completely unrelated to. I don't understand.
Well, I think the issue on that is that the CEOs of their companies got worried about pushback from their stockholders and those customers that wanted to money. It came down to money. They were afraid that their business being associated with President Trump. You know, I don't want to get started yet, but what did Trump have to do with what happened in Virginia?
Everything.
He's not responsible for what happened in Virginia, and he came out and made a comment about it. That's what presidents do. But for the love of God, why is this president responsible for everything every single person in the United States says?
Only the negative stuff. Only the negative stuff.
Unhinged, going after the president after every time he says something, and the Democrats are and the media is, and it's just all piling on. I would be so frustrated if I was this president.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Well, we're gonna get back to that, but since I brought it up, I wanted to get your take on it a little bit. We're gonna talk about that. He's not completely innocent. You guys can't all see the expression on my face right now. Only guys who are watching can see the expression on my face. I'm just saying. Oh, listen, Walmart. Anytime Walmart's in the news, I got to bring it up, right? Walmart's grocery sales grew to the highest level in 5 years, largely because they're doing their e-commerce. They're doing like same day delivery, similar to how Amazon is doing it and Target is doing it, and they're up the highest in 5 years. And listen, we'll see. here's the thing. I live in Cape May where like none of that's available, so it's completely irrelevant. But to me, but if you live like in like civilization where these services are available, it's great news for you. So good for you. You can get your food delivered same day. Me, I still gotta, wait for days. But beach. So there's that. But I live at the beach. I'm still not totally sure if that's a good trade-off because like the rest of the year, but that's how it is. All right, so that's your Money Talk News Report. We have Senator Ted Harvey. We're going to talk about the president's tax reform, the Economic Council, the Infrastructure Council. We need some wins here, man. We need some wins bad. We'll be back in a couple of moments.
Republicrats on the loose. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, for the most part, the only Republican who has consistently tried to stem the tide against the leftist Democrats' mission to literally demolish America has been President Donald Trump. For 7 years, we endured the Obama regime. And how many times did congressional Republicans announce they were putting together an alternative to Obamacare and were chomping at the bit to bring forth a more free market-based alternative? It was the free market system that years ago afforded the opportunity for America to produce what was the best overall medical care system on earth. Give us a Republican president, they yelled. So we the people delivered, and yet 7 months into the Trump presidency, and the Republicans have failed to send a good medical care plan to the president for his signature. Deputy Droop-along lookalike Mitch McConnell blamed Trump for not understanding the slow workings of a democracy as a reason for no medical care plan. What a big fat lie. The truth is, McConnell, Ryan, and others are in bed with insurance company lobbyists and are also trying to help Democrats stop Trump's America First agenda. But ultimately, the ordained Trump presidency will prevail over those who have no regard for we, the people. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And we have with us this morning the one and only Senator Ted Harvey. Not only is he former senator from Colorado, he is the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. And so whenever there are moments in time, let's say, where I feel that the president may be in need of some defense, I invite Senator Ted Harvey on to do some defending of our esteemed leader, President Trump. And listen, I struggle. I don't know if you have a hard time or not. You don't seem to. You're very good at it. He picked the right guy to be his defender. So let's before we get into tax reform, let's talk about the two most recent things, which are the dismantling of the Economic Council and the canceling of the Infrastructure Council.
Well, I think the dismantling of the Business Council was because you had a bunch of CEOs that weren't committed to the president. They weren't committed to reforming America's regulatory system, trying to improve our economy. They were there to promote their business and to promote their resumes and to say that they were invited to be on the president's economic council. And when that got to be a little uncomfortable and controversial, they dumped the president as quickly as they possibly could. They weren't there to serve our country. They weren't there to serve our president. They were there to serve themselves. And good riddance. If you aren't there to help this country, then go back and run your company and let the free market reign, and we'll figure out how to deregulate and promote the economy without you. And you look at what the president has been doing since he got into office, the amount of regulations that they have just wiped off the board. You look at our manufacturing numbers, they've shot through the roof. You look at the stock market, it's shot through the roof, except for the last couple of days because of some of the things that have happened this week, which is totally fabricated, made-up media junk.
Absolutely.
I think that the president is under fire from all sides, and it's not because of anything, in my opinion, that he instigated. He's not responsible for what a bunch of white supremacists did down in Southern Virginia. He's not responsible for what the opposition did down there, to come down there with masks on and bats and try to disrupt that event. The president is trying to run the largest, most important government in the history of the world. He's not dealing with that kind of stuff. Could he have worded it differently? You and I speak every single day. If we were being held accountable for every word that came out of our mouth the way this president is, we would be trashed left and right. But
I always speak perfectly and never ever make a verbal mistake. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're not on the biggest stage in the world. Imagine in the United States where every single member of the media wants to destroy him and bring him sole agenda. A good friend of ours, Lonnie Poindexter, posted something on Facebook yesterday that I thought was great. He posted a 10-minute video clip of the president rejecting and condemning racism over the last year, whether it's David Duke, the KKK. And he said, so why is the media still asking him? Because one of Alinsky's rules of radicals strategies is to keep stating a lie over and over and over until it appears to be the truth. That is exactly what the media is doing. They are trying to repeat a lie over and over and over until the American people believe that Donald Trump is a racist, and therefore anybody like you that defends him is a racist, and any Republican out there that might have white skin that would support the president is a racist.
I'm a self-hating racist.
Higher narrative that the Democrats and the media are trying to foist upon the American people, and it is outrageous and it's offensive, and we as conservatives and Republicans need to push back against that.
That is so very true, and I you make a very convincing point. I want to attack the president, but now I don't want to attack him anymore. I'm just kidding. I never want to attack the president. I don't. I think here's what I feel goes on with him, and I get it. I do. I get that feeling. I think what goes on with him is, look, I know I'm not a racist. I'm sick of telling these people that I'm not a racist. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm done. Like that. That's how I that's what I feel like. That's where he is. You know what I mean? Like I'm done.
Saying swear words. You know how hard it would be at this point, after being called a racist for 12 months, to stand up there and not just say "F you."
Look, I barely make it through the hour. No, I'm kidding. But and listen, having my mother as one of my Facebook friends prevents me from saying a whole lot of things. It's like having a constant policeman, because I know it could get back to my mother. So it's like, I don't want to do that because my mom will find out. But I can't even imagine, especially something. I mean, that's just, it's such a heinous thing to be accused of. I mean, how the whole thing on my Facebook page started this morning was somebody posted that antiquated picture of his parents in a KKK uniform. Like, come on. I used to teach Photoshop, and I told the guy who posted it, I was like, I could teach my freshmen to do that in 10 minutes. I said, send me a picture of you. I could have you looking like a Klansman in 5. I mean, come on. I said, you cannot possibly believe this. It's been discounted, and that's kind of how it started.
But there are plenty of pictures of Robert Byrd out there, a leader of the Democrat Senate, for decades and decades and decades. You drive throughout West Virginia, and there's every highway named after him, every building named after him, statues all over the place. You don't see the Democrats running up there and trying to dismantle everything in West Virginia that has Robert Byrd's name on it.
No. Okay, so now we only have a couple minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about tax reform and the tax bill that I think they're working on. Not hearing very much about it. Now, sometimes when I don't hear very much about his policy, I'm assuming that it's because there's good news and the press doesn't want to talk about it. I hope that that's the case right now, because I haven't heard much about tax reform here lately. What do you think's going on?
I think when you listen to McConnell saying that the president had unrealistic expectations of how the legislative process works, I think what he's foreshadowing there is the Senate is totally incompetent and unable to push through anything of an agenda, whether it's Obamacare or whether it's tax reform. And the president certainly should have had those expectations. McCain ran on the fact that he would fight for repealing Obamacare. He told his voters in the primary against Kelly Ward that
he certainly did.
And he gets down there and votes against it. I hope Kelly Ward is able to win this next primary against Flake, because Flake is one of McCain's best friends down there, and we need to send a strong message to McCain and the other Republicans that if you're not going to do what you promised the American voters, then we need to throw you out of office. And same thing with Collins up in Maine. She promised the American voters that she would repeal it. They both voted for the repeal in 2014. And this just goes to show how incapable this Republican Senate is of moving forward with any of the promises that they made to the American people.
I mean, you know, there's a part of me that wants to be mad at the president, but under the circumstances, I can't be, because we had so much that should have been in the hopper already, and this is one of them. You know what I mean? Because we were so close to having the majority, or we might have even had it under Obama. We did, and we passed stuff under Obama, and we were like, if we had the presidency, and then we flipping got it and punked out. What is that?
We sent in 2014. We sent a repeal of Obamacare to his desk, and he vetoed it. And that those same people, McCain voted for it, Collins voted for it, and then when it comes to really sending a repeal to this president's desk, suddenly they don't want to vote for it. And McCain literally put in his campaign material against Kelly Ward, "I will fight for the repeal of Obamacare." That was a year ago when he was about to lose his U.S. Senate seat. Same thing he did on immigration reform when he was running for president of the United States. He was like, I get it. We won't do amnesty. Now he's leading the fight to push amnesty through the Senate. I am so sick of all of these Republican establishment globalists that are pushing an agenda that the American people did not elect them to do.
Exactly.
Just lying to the American people.
Exactly. They sure are. Okay. Well, it's all his fault. It's always his fault. Listen, I know I have to let you go. Before I let you go, tell everyone how they can get in contact with the committee to defend President Trump, because he's going to need our help over the next 4 years.
Thank you. If you go to our website, which is committeetodefendthepresident.com, committeetodefendthepresident.com, or they can go to our Facebook page and tell all your listeners to go to our Facebook page and like it. We're getting close to 1 million likes on our Facebook page.
Nice.
We are the largest PAC in the United States right now. We raised over $3.5 million over the last 6 months at $35 a contribution. So we have a membership bigger than any other organization out there, and I'd love to have your listeners be a part of it. So committeetodefendthepresident.com.
That's amazing. I'll make sure I share it. Thank you so much for being on the show again, Senator Harvey. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Have a good one. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Have a good one.
God bless.
God bless. That was Senator Ted Harvey, folks. Former senator of from the great state of Colorado, and just an all-around great guy. Chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. And now you see why President Trump has him on the case, because he's very, very, very good at his job. Oops, sorry, that was my puppy dog. I'm sorry. I was trying to grab her. Sorry, guys. She sits in the studio with me, and normally I take good care of her before I go on the air, but apparently I missed something, and now she is looking up at me with those gorgeous eyes of hers, saying like, "Mom, what's going on?" So anyway, that was Senator Ted Harvey. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. When we come back, we will have your 5 minutes of personal finance. Which is better, life insurance or term insurance? Whole life or term life? That is what I'm trying to say. Which is better, whole life or term life? We'll be back in a moment.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant. From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. Unfortunately, Senator Ted Harvey had to leave us early. He had another interview to get to, so we're doing the 5 minutes of personal finance early, but that's okay because it actually is going to give me an opportunity to address some things at the end of the show. I'll use the last segment of the show for something a little different, some commentary, I suppose. I will use that for. It'll be fine. Anyway, your 5 minutes of personal finance today is discussing life insurance, whole life versus term life. There are, I'm a licensed insurance agent. Rod Edwards is in the chat. I'm so sorry I left you lonely. And one of the things that I find most commonly is that people don't know the difference between term life and whole life, and whether and really which one they should pick when they're approached with making this type of decision with which kind they should purchase. And I was trying to think of the best way to explain it. And there are many different types of life insurance. I just picked two, and maybe at another point in time when I do the 5 minutes of personal finance, I'll pick two more. But I found an article. I was trying to find an article that explained it simply and in a simple way that I could express it so that it will be transferred over the radio. I hope that makes sense. So I did find this one article that expressed it in a way of pros and cons that I thought might be helpful, and it is pinned to my Pinterest page. So if you go to my Pinterest page, you'll find this. So when you think of term life insurance, okay, that is a very basic type of life insurance. If you're asked about it. It's sold for a specific length of time. So whenever you think of term life, you think of a limited amount of time, a specific length of time. Usually it's going to be 10 or sometime between 10 and 30 years. It could be 15 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 10 years. Here's the thing about term life. Here are the positives of term life. It's usually the most affordable because it's a limited amount of time. They are usually the easiest to understand. There's usually not a lot of exclusions, and an exclusion is like an exception, like things that don't apply to that policy. There usually are not a lot of those. They're usually pretty straightforward. And a term life policy you can cancel before it expires. Now, the downside to a term life policy is that once the term life policy is done, you are done with your coverage. So in other words, if you pass away, nobody gets anything, even though you've paid all this money in. If you want to continue to have life insurance after you have a term life policy, you can do something called converting the policy into a permanent one or a whole life policy, which is what we're going to talk about next. But again, it involves, more money. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Now, another way that you can go is you can get a whole life policy right out the gate. So, and that's another word for a whole life policy is a permanent life policy. You'll hear that term used. A permanent life policy never expires. Like, you'll have it forever as long as you continue to pay the premium. You don't default on a premium. It also accumulates cash value, so you can take loans against it. That is another huge plus that you don't get with a term life policy. Now, the only thing you have to remember about that is when you take loans against it, should you pass away before paying back that loan, then that cash value would come out of the benefit. So in other words, whoever the beneficiary is would get that amount less the money that you took out, less the loan amount. Okay, so that's important to remember. The awesome part about a whole life policy is that you can customize it to whatever your very personal financial needs are. So, whatever your assets are, whatever your financial needs are, the whole life policy, you can really work through that and customize it. They usually are pretty expensive, and that's when we'll get into the cons. Like, they're usually significantly more expensive. And because of that, a lot of times people will get a lower benefit amount so that they lower the like per month cost of the policy. A lot of times it's more complex as far as buying it because the benefit is so much higher. In other words, the cash amount that somebody's going to get paid when you pass away, the underwriting process tends to be a lot more complex. And what I mean by the underwriting process is, you know, there's a medical exam, there's, you know, reports that have to be done. And it's just usually like a really thorough application process that goes into place depending on like how high the benefit is. Like if you're getting $1 million health insurance policy, they're gonna put you kind of through the ringer, because, you know, if they give you $1 million policy and you die a week later, they lose money. So if they do that kind of policy, they want to make sure that you are relatively healthy is the thing. So those are, now there's all different types of permanent life insurance, permanent or whole life insurance policies. You have your basic, then you have your universal, your variable, and then your variable universal. They all, you will totally fall asleep if I get into all the differences that there are there. And that's where you would really want to consult with whoever your financial advisor is, your individual agent is, and make sure you discuss your individual circumstances to see which ones are better for you under your own personal circumstances. The best thing to do, I personally would make sure that you work with someone who does customization. In other words, considers the specifics of your specific circumstances, how many kids you have, how many kids you think are going to be going to college, whether or not you have a pension and Social Security, or if you have extra money put away for retirement. Like all of that stuff you want to take into consideration when you're getting life insurance. But I'm going to pin the details of this article to my Pinterest page, the Money Talk with Melanie Pinterest page. I'm going to make sure that I pin it there. That is your 5 minutes of personal finance, which I think was more like 7 minutes of personal finance, but that's okay. When I come back in a couple minutes, I'm just going to do with some commentary. Senator Ted Harvey and I talked a little bit about it when I at the open, but I think I'm going to go into a tad more detail when I come back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we'll be back in a moment.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And I am happy to be back with you this morning. I just wanted to take a couple of moments to talk about a couple of things. Specifically, something that went on my Facebook page this morning. I make absolutely no secret about my political leanings. In fact, I started off the show on a network called the Exceptional Conservative Network, is where my shows started. I've since migrated from that network, and I'm now on High Plains Pundit, Talk Radio, and SHR Media, which are also conservative networks, not quite as conservative as the Exceptional Conservative Network. But that being said, I speak pretty freely about my conservative beliefs, and I don't walk around saying I believe conservative things. It doesn't work that way. But if somebody tags me in a post, which is what happened to me this morning, someone tagged me in a post with a fake picture of Donald Trump that I have seen many, many, many times, and it's been established as fake. Now, this is, someone who's woefully uninformed about this picture, but it's been well established a long time ago that the picture's fake, and it's supposed to be Donald Trump's parents in KKK uniforms. And, I kind of pointed this out that, that's something that's very easily photoshopped. It's something, and people proceeded to attack me. Of course, it led to the conversations about what's going on in Charlottesville, and I proceeded to use something that I refer to as logic, because their whole thing is that Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump's this big racist, like, despite all the evidence otherwise. And here's the thing: anyone who knows me, knows anything about me, knows that I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan. I just really am not. I get in trouble pretty regularly for saying things that are not very favorable. If I feel like I look, I have a thing about being honest and just like keeping things authentic and keeping things 100 and saying how I feel. And heck, that's maybe to my detriment at times. I'll be the first to admit something like that could possibly be the case. That's possible. But at the same time, but what they all these people on this thread, and they were all happened to be African American, basically were like, you are idiot for for defending Donald Trump. And the first thing I said was this about the thing that happened in Charlottesville was, okay, these people were violent, but if there were no opposition protests, then they wouldn't have had anybody to be violent against. Secondly, if people had just let those people protest and let them spew their hateful rhetoric, then everyone would have been able to hear their hate without it being muddled or muffled or anything, and they would have been exposed. That's my theory. And maybe, listen, I could be way off base. People are saying, you shouldn't give people like that air. I disagree, because here's the thing about equality, the way I see it, that if we truly want to be equal, then we don't have to like the equality, like especially as Black people. So like as Black people, if we're saying that we want to be completely equal, then we can't at the same time turn around and take away the rights of white people because we don't like what they're saying. I think that people are conflating the moral ground from the constitutional high ground. And like, do we want moral victories or do we want constitutional victories and legal victories? Like, we really have to decide what we want. But my bottom line was this, was that, you're saying that these people were all violent, but if there was no opposition there, would they have been fighting against themselves? Well, probably not. It would have been a peaceful protest if you guys had left them alone. There's a scripture, and I mentioned this in the post, that says, it said, all things that are lawful are not advantageous. The Apostle Paul said it. There's another scripture, I can't remember where it says, and I think it's in the Old Testament, that says something to the effect of not being in a hurry to run to badness, or like to negativity. And it seems to me that this is one of those situations where, why would you put yourself there are situations where, yes, you have a right to do that. You have a right to stage a counter protest. But is it beneficial? Because they were saying, oh, you don't have a heart. You probably think it's that girl's fault that she got run over. I said, no, I think it's the guy's fault who ran her over. I think it's his fault. Do I think it's unwise to go to a counter protest with people who hate you? Yes. I think it's unwise. I think it's unwise and not worth it, because I think life is very precious. And if there are a group of people who hate you walking down the street in this day and age, why would I go there? I see no reason for it. And I think that you just let them expose themselves. I'm not suggesting that everybody should do what I do or do things the way I do them. That's just my opinion. And the thing is this, if you're going to decide to be the opposition and you're going to be physical opposition, then you have to be prepared for what's going to happen. That's the other thing. Like you have to be prepared for that kind of without complaint, I think. And like I said, it's possible that I'm wrong. I'm not I'm not saying that I'm right, but I'm saying if everybody has choices. we all have these choices that we make every day in our daily lives. We all have like these scales, these things that we use in our everyday lives, as to what is important to us and what isn't. Personally, I could give a rat's rear what white supremacists are doing in their daily lives. If I found out that white supremacists were going to be marching down the main street in my town, I would leave. Now, pride would say, no, they're not going to move me out of my town. Okay, that's an angle. It is. But when you think about if they were only going to do it for one day and they had a permit and they had the right to protest, then to me, you install something called the course of wisdom. And you say, you know what, the course of, yeah, I have a right to do that, but what's the course of wisdom? What's the course of preservation? Like, why send yourself through that when life is so very precious? You know what? Why don't I go ahead and take that opportunity to go visit the zoo in DC, to go visit family, to go do something else while this is going on? That's my approach. Call it cowardly if you want. We're not talking about somebody waging war, coming to take over your town. We're talking about someone who got a permit and was coming to stage a protest and then go home. That's all. So I got called all kinds of names, most notably a waste of black skin. It's now that one's new. I also got called a house Negro and stuff and infection and all that stuff. But anyway, listen, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am going to be hosting Patriots Tonight on Sirius XM. Very excited about that. Patriots 125 from 9 to midnight. So if you are around on Sirius, make sure you come check that out. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, all of this is very important because it's your money.